Hey everyone, and welcome to our final lecture of business writing. We'll cover the elements of a cover letter today. Just a couple of heads up before I get started. This lecture is very much geared toward applying for entry-level jobs. So if you're 3 or 5 years down the road and you think, what did Professor Repetto say about cover letters? Some of this might not apply as one-to-one as it does for entry-level jobs. And it also doesn't really apply to academic positions. So if you're thinking about staying in academia or applying for grad school, I mean, the underlying structure is the same, but there are some differences in rules that we can go over if you want to reach out concerning like page expectations and style and things like that. But speaking of academia, I got 2 messages this week that people were having trouble getting a hold of me by my UDEL email. I'm really obsessive about checking that and getting back to people, as some of your other classmates know. But yeah, it sounds like for some reason, just for a couple of students, it's not working. So if you've emailed me at some point in the last 4 or 5 weeks and didn't get a response, that shouldn't be right. So message me by Canvas if that happened, or alternatively, email my personal email, which is the same as my UDEL email, just with @gmail.com at the end instead. And yeah, I really apologize. I try to pride myself on being accessible, but if the technology let us down, there's just nothing I can do about that. So I apologize. But without further ado, we'll jump into the elements of a cover letter. Just like my last lecture, I'm just going to show you the elements, and then we'll do a real deep dive on each one. And if you feel lost at any point along the way, don't worry, because at the end I'll give you a demonstration of what I'm talking about, and we'll tick off all of our boxes here. So the elements of a cover letter include a formal address / heading, an introduction, body, and conclusion. I put over here, remember the 5-paragraph essay. At some point in your education, you were probably told that the 5-paragraph essay is too simple, that you can't prove a really complex point using just the 5-paragraph essay. And that is totally true. But fortunately, in the cover letter, we're not trying to prove a very complex point, and we're trying to be very readable, very approachable. And so the 5-paragraph essay can kind of make a comeback, although maybe in a modified way, as I'll talk about in a second. And then lastly, a valediction, or just a sort of sign off. As far as the formal address and heading goes, again, don't worry, I'll show you an example. You want the date in the top right corner of the page. You want the name, location, and contact info ×2, and I put that because you want the name, location, contact info of yourself, and then the name, location, contact info of the person you're addressing. And then you want your salutation or greetings, such as dear so-and-so, but you want to be as specific as you can possibly be. And so I put dear so-and-so here. Sometimes if you can't really find out who you're writing a letter to, you'll end up writing dear University of Delaware or something like that. But hopefully you're more fortunate and can reach out to HR and ask who you're writing this cover letter to. And they'll say, oh, you're writing that letter to Bill Repetto, and you can put in here, dear Bill Repetto, and you'll know exactly where it's going. Otherwise, you can kind of focus in on a department or a hiring team if you know there's a committee. So you want to be as specific as possible as you can be with the so-and-so, but sometimes it's tough, especially with current HR practices. Next, there's the introduction. Again, these are short paragraphs, kind of written in like the business style we've been working on. You want to have in the first sentence or 2 your reason for reaching out and where you found the job posting. So, hello, I'm reaching out to apply for your opening for an English professor, and I found that posting on highered.com, or the equivalent for you. And then you want to tie your values to the institution values. I see you value excellent business writing teaching, and I value the same thing. And then tie your background to the present role. So, hey, I've taught in the past, and I think that's going to do really well for teaching with your institution. If you were applying for my job, for instance. Then you go into your body. Again, in your early career for these entry-level jobs, you're trying to keep this cover letter to 1 page, and that's really tough with the formal heading, as I'll show you in a minute, because that takes up a lot of page. But you are shooting for that 2 to 3 paragraph range. And here again, I'm going to bring up that 5-paragraph essay. And these are the things you want each of those paragraphs to do. And you've likely heard these taught in some iteration. I forget what some of the other acronyms people use, but mine are G, E, and A for generalization, rather, evidence, and analysis. So the generalization will be you're looking for a professional or a profession who rather who can do X. So your would be the institution here. Profession should be professional. So hey, University of Delaware, you're looking for a professional who can teach business writing. Then you want to get into your evidence, go really thoroughly through your background and experience in doing that X that they want. And you can even explain the experience. What did you pick up and learn when you were doing that thing you're explaining? Maybe a little bit of how does that pertain to what you're applying to, but you really want that last part to be your analysis. So in the very end of that paragraph, you want to say, hey, because of my background, I think I can help your institution advance its goals. And then you can tie together both your past experiences and the institution's goals. And so the really fortunate part of this is that those are the 2 to 3 paragraphs right in the middle of the cover letter. So that'll be most of what you're doing. Lastly, you want your conclusion. You want to express appreciation to the reader for taking the time to read your cover letter. You want to express that you hope they also find your background valuable, and you want to provide your contact information again. I put look to the future in question marks here. You can say something like, I look forward to starting as a professor with the University of Delaware, or I look forward to joining the University of Delaware community, for example, if you're applying to my job. But those are the things to consider. And then your valediction, you just want to make sure you use a professional sounding one like kind regards or best always. I guess sincerely sounds good, but you probably don't want to go with always yours or something like that. But just more stuff to think about. And that's really the entirety of the cover letter. Sorry for getting profession and professional mixed up there, but I'll share one more screen. And this is an old cover letter I had when I applied to Cecil County to be the coordinator of their writing center. You should check out that I missed the date on the top right, which might be why I didn't get this job in the long run. But here's that formal heading I was talking about where you have your name, your location. Again, I got rid of the precise address just because I don't think it's necessarily important in job materials, but you can add it in if you want, your contact info, and then again, who you're sending it to and their contact info. And then again, I don't remember this person specifically, but I was fortunate enough in this job application process to know exactly who I was writing to, and that's what you should look out for as well. And so in my cover letter, I follow kind of exactly the form I was talking about. I mentioned the position, I mentioned where I found it. I say, hey, I have the same dedications as you, and I have this background in tutoring, post-secondary education, and participating in interdepartmental initiatives. And so that's why I think I'll be a good piece. And then I go through here and just kind of explain each experience. And then at the very end, like I said, always apply it back to the position, right? I went through all of this and I'm prepared and refined my abilities to supervise the tutors at your place. So again, you're tying it all back. And again, went through it again. And then went back and said, I did all of this to join Cecil County as your coordinator of the writing center. And again, just an example of that conclusion, right? I hope you found this useful. You can reach me here. You all have my phone number now too, so please don't call or text me. And there is my my personal email, like I mentioned at the top of the lecture. And then again, the formal sort of closing best regards. And so that's what you're looking for in a cover letter at the entry level. That's typically what an employer is going to be looking for. Some of my materials are starting to go onto 2 pages now. But again, that's just what people start to expect once you get kind of later. But when you're in those first stages, you definitely want these documents to be about a page long because you don't want anyone to think you're exaggerating. You don't want anyone to think, oh gosh, this guy's application is taking a lot of time, or this woman or this non-binary friend, all just things to consider. And so, yeah, that's what I got. That's our final lecture for business writing. I'll look forward to the last discussions on Canvas, and I will look forward to your business writer galleries and your assignments. And everything should be posted, final grades and all, by Wednesday, July 13th. So look out for your final grades then. And thank you so much for watching these videos. Yeah, I'll look forward to the last of my comments. Have a great 4th of July. Have a great weekend after that, and have a good summer too. Thanks, everyone.